Well, hello and welcome to a reading of Xenophon, and I'm just going to read through and translate bits and pieces of Xenophon's Anabasis, starting at the book right at the beginning of book 1. I'm not sure how much of this we'll manage to get through, but I'll just do bits and pieces as I get time. I'm going to do it fairly slowly because I want this really to be aimed at people who've done perhaps a year, perhaps a little bit less of classical Greek, and would like to start reading some Greek prose, and Xenophon's a nice, gentle way of beginning that. And so I will go fairly slowly and explain various bits of grammar as we go. So the story begins, Dareios kai parusatidos gignon tai paides duo, presbyteros men Artaxerxes, neoteros de Kyros. So we look firstly for the main verb, and we get gig non tai, and the subject, which is duo paides. Now, in English, we would take the verb here first. There exist two sons of Dareios and Artaxerxes. He begins with a nice, a nice present. In English, we'd probably put it into the past, but Xenophon wants to begin rather vividly by saying there exists two sons of Dareios and Artaxerxes. Presbyteros men, now we get a nice men and a balancing de, and we have these two adjectives, presbyteros balanced with neoteros. So the older one was Artaxerxes, and on the other hand, the younger one was Kyros, this is Cyrus. Epe de Asthene Dareios kai hup optue telatuen to biu ebulata to paide and photero parenai. Now epe when, we get a nice de, and we might say sometimes de you can translate as but, sometimes and when Dareios asthene, this is the imperfect from asthenio, so it augments, and then you get the ending contracting here. It's an epsilon contract verb. So when Dareios began to become ill, or was ill if you wish, just an imperfect there, kai hupoptue, another imperfect from hupoptuo. Hupoptuo means to suspect. So he suspected, so he thought it was going to be the telutane, the end to biu of life, of the life. So we would say in English, the end of his life. The Greek just says he suspected the end of the life. So it was the end of his life. Ebulata to paide and photero parenai. This is from bulamai, imperfect again, middle. He wished, and now the object of this, well, he wished that this is a duel. Now up here we just had the word two with his children, two sons. Here we have to paide, which is a dual form, meaning the two sons, and amphotero, both of them, parenai, from infinitive from paraemi. So he wished the two sons, both of them, parenai, to be present, from paraemi. Homen un presbyteros paron etunkane. Now again, we're going to get nice men and det here. See a lot of this in classical Greek, not so much in later Greek, but in classical Greek, and certainly in Xenophon, we're going to get lots of mens and dets. They're very, very useful, in fact, in helping to construe the Greek. So often we don't bother to translate them, but we do keep them in mind because they help us put the sentences together. So the elder un well, we might say then rather than therefore here. So the elder one then, et tunkane, from tunkano, this is the imperfect, and tunkano takes a participle. And there it is here before it, paraon from paraami. It's the same verb we've got here. So the elder one then happened or chanced being present. Happened to be present, and then we get a nice depth balancing that, but metapempetai, he summoned, the subject here must be Dareios, I think. This is from metapempo in the middle. So pempo is I send, and pempo in the middle, or metapempomai in the middle, is to send for someone. So he sent for, this is accusative, Cyrus, apotes arches. Now arche in later Greek often just means beginning, but it can also be connected with archo to rule, and here an arche means a kingdom. So from the kingdom, now we've got a relative pronoun which would normally be in the accusative, but it's being attracted into the genitive because it's so near to the antecedent. This happens all the time in Greek. So, but he summoned Cyrus from the kingdom which epoiese he had appointed out on him as satrap. So poio, do or make, but it can also have the meaning to appoint in Greek. So he sent for Cyrus from the kingdom which he had appointed him as satrap. Now satrap is like a local governor. And in fact, Dareios had set up, I think, 20 of these satrapies, these little small kingdoms, these archi, because he's ruling Persia, which is a massive place, and so he sets up these satraps to look after individual places. They're a bit like governors. Satrap, I think, is a Persian word. Kai strategon de auton apedek sipanton hosoi es castolu pedion hathroid zontai. So where he had appointed him as satrap, and now another verb, apodexe, another word meaning to appoint. It's from apodeiknumi, the original behind this one. This is an aorist. It's to appoint again, but to give authority in some sense, I think. It's a slightly stronger word. And he appointed him strategon, well, general in Greek, strategos, panton of all things, hosoi, as many as. Now we need a verb, and here it is here, hathroidzonto. This is from hathroidzo, to gather. This is the passive, so are gathered in the plain. The S has to go with pedion because it takes an accusative, in the plain of Castolus. Now Castolus was in Lydia, and you should perhaps get a map here and have a look at Asia Minor and see where these places are. So he had appointed him as strategos, as general of all things, as many as literally are gathered, perhaps we might say are contained in the plain of Castolus. Anabaine un hokuros labon Tissaphernes hos philon, kai ton helenon ekon hoplitas anebe triacosius, archon to de auton xenion parasion. Now, this is a rather suggestive word, anabino, because this work is called the Anabasis. It means to go up country, literally to go upwards, hence to go up country. Cyrus, now this probably is a therefore, Cyrus therefore went up, that is, went up to where Dareios was, Labone taking Tissaphernes. Now this is a lovely use of hose here, hose philon. It's a little bit, it's rather subtle. It's like supposedly as his friend, because Tissaphernes is going to double cross him fairly soon, and so Xenophon says hos philon. Well, sort of as a friend, but supposedly as a friend. It's a lovely expression here in the Greek. And ekon, now it's literally having, from echo, participle. Can translate it as just with in Greek, but doing it literally, having, in the Anabasis here, and he went up having, or perhaps with, Triacosius 300 hoplites, ton Hellenon of the Greeks. Now these are Greek mercenaries, and at this stage there were large numbers of Greek mercenaries floating around, especially over in Asia Minor. Life back in Greece was probably not rather difficult at this point. This was, of course, post-Peloponnesian War. There was a lot of people on the move, and there were lots of these Greek mercenaries who wanted to make thought they could make money and have a decent life, have a better life in the pay of somebody else. So these are these Hellenon. So ekon having, so he went up having 300 hoplites of the Greeks, and I think rather than but here, and Xenia is the guy's name, the Parrhasian. Now Parrhasia is a place in Arcadia. Again, you should look at the Greek map. This is in the middle of the Peloponnesus. So it's accusative after the ekon. So he had these hoplites, and having Xenia, or perhaps, Xenias, I think the name is, having Xenias the Parrhasian as the ruler of them. So perhaps we might say as their leader, rather than ruler, that is, of the Greeks. So this guy is in charge of the Greek mercenaries. Epe de eteleute si Dareios kai kateste esten basileon Artaxerxes, Tissaphernes diabale ton kuron proston adelphon hos epi buluoi auto. Well, but, and this is a but here, but when Dareios died, this is from teleutao is the verb, it's an alpha contract verb, this is the aorist. So when Dareios died, perhaps met his end, you could paraphrase it a little bit. So when Dareios met his end, and now the subject here is Artaxerxes, and there's the verb. Well, the kateste here is something like, Esten Basileon. This is the kingdom, so was established in the kingdom. So we would say was made king. So when Dareios died, and Artaxerxes was established in the kingdom, so became king, we would say. Tissaphernes diabole ton kuron. Now diabalo is to slander. It's a bit like our expression to throw mud at someone. So diabalo, to throw things around. So throw around accusations. So we'd say slandered. We get diabolos, of course, and devil and so on. It's all corruption of this word. So Tissaphernes slandered Cyrus to his brother. Now here's another use of hose. It's something like claiming that, or saying that, or claiming that. Now the verb here is epibuluo. This is the optative, because it's in, he's claiming that he was plotting against him. So it's not a fact, and so it gets put into the optative after this hose. So Tissaphernes was slandering Cyrus to his brother. Understand, saying that he, Cyrus, was plotting against him, that is Tissaphernes. Hode pathetai kai sulambane kuron hos apoktenon. And he, so again, sometimes it's but, sometimes it's and with the det when you're putting it into English. So, and he, pathetai, this is passive from patho, he was persuaded, kai sulambane kuron. Sulambano is a lovely word, it's got lots of range of meanings, one of which, by the way, is to fall pregnant, but here it's to arrest. So sulambano, you need to look that one up in the dictionary, I think, because there's so many different meanings. Here it means to arrest, it's more of a classical usage. So sulambano, he arrested Cyrus. Now it's actually present, so he is persuaded and he arrests Cyrus, historic presence. Greek will do that. It's a little bit like hearing someone telling a joke in the pub when, you know, he says this and he says this and he does this, when of course it's all in the past tense, and Greek will do this quite commonly for vividness. So he is persuaded and he arrests Cyrus. Now here we have another use of hos, plus this is a future participle from apoktano. You can see you get a vowel gradation here, the epsilon iota goes down to an epsilon. This would have been originally apokteneson. The sigma disappears, the epsilon combines with the omega, and that's why we're getting the accent here. This is a future participle. And with hos plus a future participle is used for intent, with the intention of killing him. Literally as being about to kill him, so with the intention of killing him. He demate ex aetesa menaiauton apopempe palin epiten arcane. But, now this is a but, his mother, this is from ex aetio amai, this is a middle form. It means to beg off or to gain pardon for, to make excuses for, defend. So his mother, gaining pardon for out on him, present, historic present again, sends him off, apopempe, palin again, or rather I should say back here rather than again, sends him back, epitane arcane, to his kingdom. And that might be a good place to stop the first reading, and I'll continue this in another recording.